All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking something we usually just write off as, scary teeth, and we're flipping that perspective completely. Because in the vast, totally unforgiving theater of the natural world, survival really is an absolute art form. Some creatures rely on blistering speed to outrun predators, others use masterful camouflage to just blend into the background, and a lot rely on sheer intelligence to outwit their rivals. But today, we're uncovering how fangs are actually a silent, devastating weapon, forged over millions of years of evolution. They are the defining trait of apex predators and ultimate survivors alike, and they quite literally dictate who eats and who gets eaten. But before we really get into the weeds here, I want you to chew on this question for a second. What actually makes a biological weapon perfect? Is it just pure lethality, mechanical efficiency, or is it adaptability? What we are going to see today is a massive testament to nature's relentless drive to endure. Because the fang isn't just a single monolithic tool. It's a highly adaptable evolutionary masterpiece that's been endlessly tweaked and perfected across completely different species, all to solve the ultimate problem of survival. To figure out how this works, we're going to break this down into 5 key areas. We've got precision weaponry, the apex crush, the Pleistocene giants, the defensive paradox, and finally, the future of survival. Let's dive right in.
Okay, Section 1, Precision Weaponry, and the absolute efficiency of the Viper.
We're starting with the absolute masters of precision, focusing in on the mechanical marvel of the pit viper. This is literally where biology meets microscopic engineering. Now, you gotta stop thinking of these like the teeth in your own mouth. Actually, scratch that. They aren't merely teeth at all. They are highly specialized medical-grade delivery systems. They are sophisticated, hollow hypodermic needles designed by nature to do one highly specific job with absolutely zero margin for error. Specialized compressor muscles squeeze venom glands right behind the snake's eyes, and that forces this toxic liquid through the hollow core of the fang directly into the prey's bloodstream. Let's look at how a predator like the western diamondback rattlesnake pulls this off. And keep in mind, this whole mechanical marvel happens in mere milliseconds, completely unseen by the human eye. First, you have the strike, which is just lightning-fast forward propulsion. Mid-air, we see the hinge in action. The snake's maxillabone actually physically rotates 90 degrees, deploying the folded fangs forward like switchblades. Boom! Finally, the delivery. The fangs make contact for a deep, highly pressurized, and precise venom injection. When you grasp the sheer biological physics happening here, you realize this isn't mindless brutality, right? It's pure, calculated efficiency. Moving on to Section 2, the apex crush. This is all about power and finality. So here we hit a stark evolutionary fork in the road. When we look at the big cats out on the savannah or deep in the jungle, we see a totally different strategy. On one side of the coin, you have the venomous precision of that pit viper we just talked about, a delicate tap that injects just a few milligrams of venom to do the lethal work over time. But on the other side, tigers and jaguars rely on overwhelming physical force, a strategy we call the anchor and crush. Because without venom to do the heavy lifting, a jaguar has to generate a staggering bite force, up to 1,500 pounds per square inch, just to physically stop a massive animal fighting for its life. For a big cat, fangs basically function as biological anchors. Unlike the snake's delicate needles, these thick, robust canines require immense jaw-crushing strength. They have to secure their catch, hold on to wildly struggling prey, and puncture deep into vital areas. In a lot of cases, these fangs are perfectly shaped to slide right between the cervical vertebrae of their prey to instantly sever the spinal cord, or just clamp down and crush the windpipe. It is absolute brute force, engineered to final perfection. All right, Section 3, the Pleistocene giants, and what was basically a prehistoric gamble. Let's rewind the clock a bit and look back at the dawn of the ancient extinct giants, creatures who took the concept of the fang to its absolute extreme. In the early Pleistocene epoch, we see the dawn of the saber-toothed cats, like the famous Mylodon fatalis. By the mid-Pleistocene, their wildly elongated 7-inch upper canines allowed them to just utterly dominate their era, preying on giant sloths and mastodons. But as we hit the late Pleistocene, the Ice Age ends. The climate drastically warms up, the forests shrink, and the giant megafauna they relied on entirely died out. And just like that, these magnificent predators suddenly vanished from the fossil record. Because here's the thing about those massive fangs. They were an incredible evolutionary trade-off, a classic high-risk, high-reward strategy.
While they looked absolutely terrifying, those huge canines were actually quite brittle. If a Smilodon bit into solid bone, its teeth could easily just snap right off. To avoid that, they had to rely on massive upper body strength to wrestle their prey completely to the ground first, before delivering this surgical, fatal bite to the soft tissue of the neck. So, when the climate turned and their very specific slow-moving prey disappeared, they were left overly specialized. Their perfect weapon simply became obsolete.
Which brings us to Section 4, the defensive paradox. Formidable, yet surprisingly non-lethal. So far, we've only been talking about predators, right? But here is a total plot twist in our explainer. What about fangs that aren't actually built for hunting at all? Take the Siberian musk deer, colloquially known as the vampire deer. It literally sports fangs that can grow up to 10 centimeters long straight out of its mouth. Or think about the walrus with its massive, iconic tusks. Both of these animals are carrying around incredibly formidable dental weaponry, but they're herbivores and bottom feeders. So why do they have these massive fangs?
Well, for these specific creatures, fangs act as really complex evolutionary signaling and utility tools. Male musk deer use their long fangs to clash in fierce rutting battles. It's all about establishing status and securing their social placement within the herd. For the walrus, those massive tusks definitely showcase dominance through intimidation for sure, but they're also just an incredibly practical, everyday tool. A walrus will literally use its tusks like ice axes, digging them into the frozen ice to haul its massive, heavy body completely out of the freezing water. Nature crafted these variations not to end life, but to preserve order, offer everyday utility, and ensure safety within the group.
And that leads us to our final section, number 5, the future of survival and its enduring legacy.
Millions. That is the vast, almost incomprehensible number of years of natural selection it took to craft these incredibly diverse tools. Evolution is a brutal, entirely uncompromising trial and error process. From the microscopic, high-speed precision of the viper's hollow needle, to the devastating, bone-crushing anchor of the jaguar, to those highly specialized but ultimately doomed daggers of the Smilodon, and finally to the everyday social utility of the walrus. Millions of years of environmental pressures have engineered exactly what is needed to survive in some of the planet's absolute harshest environments.
The fang is far more than just a biological tool. It's a historical record of adaptation. It's an absolute marvel of engineering. Every single creature walking, slithering, or swimming across our planet today is the peak of its own specific evolutionary mountain. They stand as monuments to the resilience of life, carrying the perfected tools that were meticulously shaped, tested, and passed down by the ancestors that came before them.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. Evolution hasn't stopped, you know? It's happening all around us, right now. As our environments shift today just as drastically as they did for the saber-toothed cat, how will the fangs of tomorrow adapt to an ever-changing world? We really hope this explainer has given you a brand new lens through which to view the incredible, ongoing design of the natural world. Thanks for joining us.